Hello, everybody. This is Professor Alexander coming to you from the Hood to Higher Education Studios. And today we are going to talk about Chapter 4, which is time management. And remember, it takes a village. In this chapter, the learning objectives are to determine how they use time, how you use time, and how your time should be put to good use. You're going to use personal goals to identify your priorities, list time management strategies. You're going to work in alignment with your learning styles, and you're going to work to overcome obstacles with better time management strategies. We're also going to learn how to handle interruptions, how to juggle and identify ways and strategies to juggle family, school, and job commitments, because this is something that we all have to focus on in order to become that successful student that we strive to be. Question number 1, where does time go? So we have committed time. This is committed time in terms of where we need to be for our job, where we need to be, the times we need to be in class. These are commitments that we have already made. Maintenance time. What are we doing to work on our health? Maintenance time could be taking the time to take a shower, brush your teeth, wash your face, take a bath. Discretionary time. This is your leisure time. Are you using time to play video games, play dominoes, what have you, go to the movies? This discretionary time is also referred to as your leisure time. Time management and setting goals. Goals need to be specific, measurable, observable, and realistic. Specific in terms of when we are setting clear, intentional goals, one of them could be, I plan on graduating from my community college in 2 to 3 years. This is very specific. This is intentional. This is what you are hoping for and a clear goal that you're setting in order to move on to the next level. Is this goal measurable? Absolutely. Many students have done it before in the past, and this is something that can be obtained by measuring how many units you have completed in order to reach your goal, whether it's graduation and or transfer. Is this goal observable? Yes. You're constantly looking at your transcripts to see if you're passing classes. You're checking off the requirements needed to transfer. You're checking off the requirements needed for your major preparation, and you're moving towards that particular goal. Are these goals realistic? If you put the work in, yes, they are realistic. And a goal, again, the definition is a target that motivates you and directs you towards your efforts. Types of goals. Sometimes in a particular career life planning class or life skills for higher education class, we would ask you, what is your short-term goal and what is your long-term goal? A long-term goal is something that can be accomplished in 10 years. An intermediate goal is a goal that can be accomplished in the next 5 years. Semester goals. Your goal for this semester is, or quarter, is to pass your classes with passing grades so you can go to the next level, whether that's English, math, history, arts and humanities, and so forth. Accomplishing semester or quarter goals will help you achieve your larger goals. So remember, your initial motivation to start at the community college was to transfer to a 4-year college. You want to transfer into a 4-year college to get that degree so you can go into a job or career. Setting priorities. There are different kinds of priorities. There are urgent priorities, priorities that need to happen immediately, right? That's putting food on the table. That's maintaining your paying your bills. Important priorities, ongoing activities. This can be connected to your health. You know, as we say, your health is your wealth. Trivial activities. This may be spending time that is taken away from your priorities. Again, that could look in the form of video games, just wasting time. But it is important to work in some form of leisure time as a reward to you doing well in your classes. Time management strategies. Keep a calendar. Some people still create and keep a daily to-do lists. There are apps. There are apps on your smartphone. Nowadays, we are in the smartphone era, and you can literally put in all your important dates on your calendar, and you can have alarms that go off to remind you when you have a quiz, when you have that important essay that's due, when you have to take a midterm, when you have to study for that midterm or a final. You should be recording all of these in some form or fashion, whether it is the paper format. Me personally, I like to use my phone because I like to set those alarms as reminders. Some time management strategies. Now, if this was a face-to-face class, this would be the time where I would have you guys break up in groups and write down ways in which you're spending your time, ways you are utilizing your time to the best of your ability, and ways you are not utilizing your time effectively. This will be the time where you would compare and contrast what your peers are doing. You would look and see ways in which you can cut back on unnecessary usage of time. Do the tough task first. This is something that I usually recommend to students. Break projects down into smaller tasks. This could come in the form of, if you have an important essay or a paper, and you know that you have a couple of months to complete this essay or a paper, maybe take some time the first couple of days just working out the outline. Your next step would be to write your thesis sentence. Maybe you let a day go by, you come back and review what you've written just to get a refresher. Then you start to develop the body of your paper. As you're developing the body of your paper, you're making sure that it flows together, that is making sense. Then over time, you may want to start to work on the conclusion. And then have somebody proofread it, somebody that you trust, somebody that is good with grammar, punctuation. Before you know it, you have a full paper that has completed long before the due date. This is an example of how to break down larger projects into smaller tasks. So we also have key activities, exploring topics, finalizing topics, mind map outlines, initial library research, general outlines. So this, on the graphic at the bottom, these are ways to kind of put these important assignments into your to-do list. Time management strategies can look like consolidating similar tasks. If you know that you have an accounting class and they are using principles from economics, we can kind of merge some of these principles together if they're similar. Maybe one class will draw off the other. That tends to happen in business. That tends to happen in engineering when you're taking an engineering and a mathematics course. These are ways that we can kind of cut down on our time, forming study groups, comparing answers with your peers, working through those high-level problems that you might be having challenges with. Study at your high energy time. In the previous chapter, we talked about biorhythms and how I am a morning person. I am at my best in the morning. This is typically 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. In the nighttime, this is when my partner is at her best. So paying attention to our biorhythms is how we can peak our performance. Study everywhere and anywhere. But ideally, for most people, you want to try to pick a place where that's quiet. Some people can study with noise, whether it's white noise or music in the background. You have to figure out what works best for you. Other time management strategies: study in short segments throughout the day. I like to study for 30 minutes to an hour and then get up and take a quick walk, a brisk walk, or maybe even a subtle stretch. Getting organized, be flexible, patient, persistence, and just realize that you can't do it all in one day. Maybe break it up in chunks and do it throughout the week. But what this is allowing you to do is forming a habit. You're creating habits, positive habits that are going to work well towards you achieving your college success. You also want to think about some of the barriers that you have to time management and work through those barriers. So the difference between a left brain thinker and a right brain thinker is time management strategies. They tend to really bode well for those left brain thinkers. Those left brain thinkers are convergent thinkers. And what convergent is just a fancy term for how themes and how subjects kind of merge together, right? So left brain dominant people, they tend to like routine. They like structure. They like having deadlines. Where the right brain thinkers tend to be a little bit on the contrast of that in terms of they like variety, flexibility, creativity, and innovation. They do better when they're creating. Right brain people, they should focus on a few tasks at once. They tend to, you want to write them down so you can remember them for later. Right brain thinkers like visuals. And right brain thinkers also like to integrate different learning styles and merge those learning styles together. Obstacles and procrastinating. And folks, I wish I could tell you that I never procrastinate, but truth be told, I am a victim of procrastination as well. Setting daily priorities. Break the project into small tasks. Gather everything you need to start the project before you even get going, right? Because this will just help you in the long run. You don't have to scramble looking for small, minute things. Focus for short spurts. Take your breaks when you need to. It resets the mind. It gives a boost of energy. Surround yourself with supportive people, folks that are on the up and up, folks that are students, highly motivated folks, as opposed to slackers and people that really are not trying to better themselves. Tackle difficult tasks during your high energy time. This is important. Figure out when you're at your optimal best, whether it's morning, afternoon, or night. You got to figure that out. You are the master of your own life. So only you can determine when your biorhythms are peaking. Develop a positive attitude. In the previous chapter, we talked about that fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. We want to develop that growth mindset, knowing, believing that we can always do better. Reward yourself. If you get that good grade on that essay, midterm quiz, give yourself a reward, a positive reward. And that could be going out for ice cream, maybe going to the movie, spending time with a loved one, spending time with family. Don't expect perfection. You're in school in order to figure out ways in which to do better and reach your goals. So that perfectionist syndrome, we have to do away with that. Overcoming obstacles, how to control interruptions. And this is one of the things that I struggled with in college. Creating an organized place to study. A cluttered place typically makes for a cluttered mind. So clean up, organize, make sure you know where everything is. Make sure your desk is clear. Determine your optimal time of study. This is paying attention to your biorhythms. Create quiet time. Have some time where you have everything turned off, all your electronics turned off, TV's off, phone, tablet is off. Give yourself quiet time, maybe an hour a day of just quiet time where you could just think or read. Figure out good places to study. What is optimal to you? Whether it's going to the park and picking a nice park bench. Do you have a river, lake, or ocean nearby where you can study and you can listen to the backdrops of the water? Do you like studying in the library? Do you like studying in a cafe? What works best for you? And just say no. It's an old slogan from the 80s, but we're talking about saying no to things that may trigger you, things that may get you away from your motivation, things that could detract you from your goal of studying. Juggling family, school, and job. Now, this can be complicated because many of the students that I work with, not only do they go to school full time, but they work full time. So how do we balance those? It can be challenging. There's an age-old expression that says, if you're a full-time student, that is like having a full-time job. When we do the breakdown of 12 units or more, you should be devoting 2 hours per unit of study time. So if you add those units together plus the in-class time, that typically equals close to or more than 40 hours a week that you should be putting in to your schoolwork. So in order for that to happen, you got to prioritize. You have to create that schedule in your phone or on your paper planner. You got to be flexible. Communicate with your family what is going on. I work with a lot of students that are parents. They have to figure out the babysitting situation. Do you have daycare, childcare lined up? Do you have family members that can come in and help out on a whim, on a very short notice? Delegate and develop. Sometimes your minuscule task, your smaller task, we may have to delegate to a close friend or a family member in order for you to study for that final, study for that midterm. Preparing the night before, we want to go back a bit, and hopefully you have been preparing throughout that whole quarter. If you know that you have 3 weeks to take a midterm, you should use every day, if not every other day, to be preparing for that midterm and trying not to cram. Use your school resources. Every community college has some type of learning center, tutorial center, skills center. Tap into those invaluable workshops, and also you can connect with a tutor if you're struggling in a particular subject. Communicate with your employer. Oftentimes, having a job that works around your school schedule is beneficial. Look into online options for taking classes. If you know that you're having a challenging time getting up to campus and doing a face-to-face class, then you may want to look into taking an online class. Try to discover ways in which you can increase your physical and emotional energy. Pay attention to what's draining you. Pay attention to what's uplifting your spirit, your physical needs. Create positive time. This could be time with family. This could be time with that positive friend that boosts your well-being. Model successful behavior and continue to balance your life. Now, these are some really helpful websites that you can tap into to see other time management strategies. I really like timeanddate.com. They have a wealth of resources where you can log on. They have planners that you could print out, and they also have planners that you could just type into the system and save for later. Management gurus like davidcode.com, 43folders.com, and the world renowned stephencovey.com, who wrote 7 Habits for the Highly Effective Manager, 7 Habits for the Highly Effective Student. These are all websites. Use technology in order to reach your goals and in order to become that time management guru. So that concludes chapter 4. Pay attention to the questions that I will upload that you will have to answer around managing your time. This is a time to be reflective and thinking back on not only how you spend your time, but what are you doing to plan for those classes that you know you need to get a good grade in. And why do you need a good grade? In order to transfer or graduate. Once you get to that next level of the 4-year college, it doesn't get any easier, but preparation starts now. This is Professor Alexander. And remember, folks, it takes a village. Peace, y'all.